Anything is possible. Anything is possible. That's awesome. Hey, everybody. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see y'all. Thank you for being here this morning, and appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself more formally and personally to you, as I know many of you have just now gotten started into the Selcology platform and are getting used to the information there. I also have joining us this morning Paola, and she is your performance engagement manager. By now, you will have probably received some communication from her, or you will, if you haven't seen it soon, you'll see it. But I wanted to give her the floor for a little bit to have her introduce herself to you so you know who she is and what she does and how she's there to serve you and help you. And so, Paola, I'll give you the floor first, and then we'll take off. Go ahead.
Good morning, team. I'm excited to be here. Happy Friday to all of you. Like Jonathan said, my name is Paula Gomez. I'm your engagement manager. My hope here is to help you to navigate the resources and training available to you. You have already received a welcome email from myself. You do have my contact information, my email, my phone number. I can help you out with anything that you need with the training tool. I help you to find courses, if you have any issues logging in, anything that I can help you with the tool. I'm here to assist you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions, anything that you need. You can call me, you can reach me by email.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paola. So ladies and gentlemen in the room, Paola is there to be in your corner. I don't know if you've ever had somebody whose sole purpose, literally their job, they're paid money every single day, weekend, month, and year. They are paid to make you successful. Paola is paid by my company. Our team pays her to help our people become more successful. You have somebody in your corner whose sole purpose is to see you win and to see you succeed with Selcology. So she's there as a resource. She's going to be reaching out to you when she does. If you've ever had a customer, you're sincerely trying to help, and they don't respond to your emails and they don't respond to your phone calls, if you've ever been like frustrated by that and you've ever thought, I'm like actually trying to help these people and they won't even respond to me. If you've ever felt that pain as a salesperson or BDC agent, I want you to realize Paola is like you, trying to reach you if you don't respond back. So for good karma, for sowing and reaping principle, for how about just being a decent human being, when she reaches out to you, just know that you can reach back out to her, respond to her, and you sow goodness into the universe. So just know that she's there to help you. But I'm also here to help you, and you guys now are part of the Selcology family. I just want to do a quick survey of the room, then I'm going to get into what we're going to talk about this morning. If you are somewhat familiar with Selcology before the Selcology University access you just got, if you were somewhat familiar with me through social media or anything prior to getting access to the Selcology University, can I just see a show of hands so I know who might have known who I was before? There's a few of y'all. Okay, good. So the gentleman in the very back who raised his hand, I was going to say the gentleman in the red shirt. That doesn't help. Looks like he's got glasses on. Yeah. Can I hear from you, my friend? What's your name?
Dylan Delgado.
Dylan. Hello, my friend Dylan. Good to see you. So Dylan, you were familiar with Selcology before you got access. The gentleman in the white shirt sitting up like looks like the front row. You raised your hand as well. What's your name? Orlando, you were familiar as well. And then there was a gentleman right in the middle that kind of raised his hand right here. Yeah. What's your name? Maurice. So Dylan, Maurice, and Orlando, I want to thank you guys if you're familiar with me a little bit. I'm going to ask you some questions here in a little bit as well, but I appreciate that. The rest of you who are not familiar, let me give you a very brief orientation so you kind of know what I'm about, where I'm coming from, because it'll give you the context for how the university can help you and what we can do to help you. So very quickly, when I got in the business 20-something years ago now, I'm one of those guys. Now, do you know what it feels like to be that old that you have to say 20 years ago you started doing something? 20 years ago, now I've become the old car dog I used to make fun of, right? So 20 years ago, when I got in the car business, training was essentially grouped into two styles of training. There were two types. You had two choices. You would either go to the trainer who was militaristic about their approach. They had a system and a process, and they basically said, here's my steps of the sale, and here's my word tracks, and repeat after me and do it my way. And you kind of got the impression from them that the secret sauce to their success when they got into business back in 1987 was if you would just repeat after them, learn their word tracks, follow their steps, do it their way, you could be successful like they were back in 1987. And so you had basically, if the customer says this, you say that. If the customer does this, you do that. If this happens, do this. And that's the way the training went. Then you swing the pendulum and you kind of get to the other side. And instead of it being process-based, it was personality-based. So you had this other trainer coming out, it's basically saying the secrets to my success when I got in the business back in 1997 was you got to walk like me and talk like me and act like me and look like me and sound like me and be like me. And if you were just more like me and less like you, you'd be successful like me. And you too could have a mansion and a mistress and a bookie and a Ferrari. And you watch some of these trainers and you get the impression like the secret to success was basically to not be you anymore. And I hated that. I hated sitting in training classes, whether it be my manager or some trainer, trying to tell me how to be somebody other than me. I didn't like it. It didn't resonate with me. So I struggled in the beginning with my career. I struggled going through training because I wasn't going to learn these word tracks that to me sounded anywhere from hokey to stupid to outdated to irrelevant to just quite frankly impractical. Like, I'm not going to actually say that to a customer. Yeah, maybe it sounds funny on a stage, but it doesn't sound real in real life. Customers won't like that. And then you get this other way and I watched it and I go like, man, I don't want to be like you. I'm sorry, man, that's not me. So where Selcology was born from, right? Selcology as a principle. Where Selcology came from was a belief system that there is a principle behind every technique, that there is a fundamental principle in psychology that causes something to work or not work. So that you could have two people in front of you, two different customers, and you could do the exact same technique with two different people and get two different outcomes. And let me give you a couple examples so you can immediately connect with what I'm saying. How many of you have ever had a customer scenario like this? You sit down with the customer, you go through the motions, and then they say they want to think about it. And you say, you know, folks, I appreciate that you want to think about it, but here's my concern. The thing is, the car that you came in to look at today and want to think about till tomorrow is the same car someone else came in yesterday to look at and wanted to think about till today. And they're going to come in today and they're going to buy it if you don't buy it. So if you guys want to think about it, you know what, up to you. But I tell you what, I sure hate for you to miss out on this deal. And you've said something like that. And the customer goes, all right, tell you what, throw in floor mats, you got a deal. And they close. And you're like, whoo, that worked. You've also had customers in front of you where you've said essentially the same thing. Folks, if you want to think about it, think about it. I just hate for you to miss out on this. This is a great deal. I don't want somebody else to come in and swoop in and buy the car out from under you. And the customer says this. They say, you know what? If it's not here when we come back, then maybe it just. Now, how in the world do all y'all know that? How did y'all finish my sentence? I've never been to your store. How is it that I know exactly what your customers are saying to you? How is it you all know what your customers would say? Because people fundamentally are the same. They're all different in the exact same ways. And why that's important for you to know is because when you understand psychology, it means you can adapt to any person in front of you. And the reason why you can use the same word track with two different people and get two different outcomes entirely is because people are all different, but in the exact same way, which is why you can finish my sentence. Even though you've never been to my store, I've never been to your store, we know exactly what the customer would say. And what's exciting to me about this, why I get passionate about this, why I think this is really exciting stuff, is because if I can then understand the principles, if I can understand the psychology behind the technique, if I can begin to identify these patterns, what that does is it gives me an insight, a clue, an advantage over my competition because I can begin, like a mind reader, to anticipate what's going to happen next. Let me give you another example, and y'all can relate to this, I think. You sit down with the customer and you go through everything, you go through the close. They say they want to think about it. You say, all right, tell you what, I got one more idea. I'll be right back. And you go get a TO. And the manager comes down, the manager says exactly the same thing you just said. And the customer goes, well, I guess when you put it that way, let's do it. And you're going, what the hell? And you're walking back to the tower and the sales manager's like, that's how you close a car deal, son. You're like, you said the same stupid. I said that to them for 10 minutes. And the manager's like, son, some people are closers and some people just aren't, man. And you're just like, shut up, you know, give me a break. How many of y'all ever had a TO where the manager says the exact same thing you said and it closes? Anybody ever had that? Yeah, okay. What's going on there? Why is it when you said it, it didn't matter, but when your manager said it, it mattered? Now, how about this? How many of you have had a situation where you're in the close and it's going well? You got a good moment. You got mojo on your side. And then Mr. Mangler, Mr. Sales Mangler comes around and he decides to poke his little nose into your deal and he screws up your deal. Don't raise your hand on this one though. How many of you ever had a manager come in and screw up your deal because the manager thought it was important that the manager got involved, right? So why is it some customers are influenced by your managers and some people seem to be alienated by your managers? Why is it that sometimes stuff works and sometimes it doesn't? That's the part that I find fascinating. And that is what Selcology is about. Selcology is about understanding the psychology behind the sale. Why do customers act or react the way they do? Why are certain things universal? And how can I become a consistent success instead of an accidental one? You see, I find that salespeople usually fall into a couple of possible groups. And I may be speaking to you right now, and if I'm preaching to you right now, just receive the good word I'm bringing. I'm gonna preach some good word to you. I'm gonna let you hear the truth. Some of you are roller coasters in your success. Your success is accidental. You have moments of brilliance followed by moments of utter insanity. You say the right things sometimes, and you say stupid things other times. You do the right deal, and then you do the bad deal. And some of you guys, if I look at your sales trajectory, it's like this, like watching a roller coaster. You'll have a 18-car month followed by a 12-car month, followed by a 14-car month, followed by a 6-car month, followed by an 18-car month. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm getting dizzy looking at your numbers. Y'all are bipolar, good and bad, hot or cold, and you're all over the place. And you don't know how to stop that and get consistency. Some of you are too consistent and you are what I call the premature plateauers. I ask you, what do you sell every month? I sell 16, 17 cars a month. I say, great. How long have you been in business? I've been about 12 years. So do you remember when you first got to 16, 17? Oh yeah, about 12 years ago. So 12 years ago, you got to 16. 12 years later, you're at 16. You know what that's called? It's called a flat line, people. Okay. You don't want a flat line. That's called premature plateauing. Some salespeople, they're premature plateauers, man. And what I'm suggesting to you is that success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. I'm passionate about this because success leaves clues. And if you can begin to identify these patterns, then you can begin to identify what you can do to be more consistent in your success. So if you've been in the business for a hot minute and you are plateaued, you have not had a significant breakthrough in a while and you're frustrated. Everybody in the room should be making more money than they've ever made per car, but that's the market. That's the market doing that for the most part. But how many of you have doubled your sales in the last year? Not your income, but your sales volume. Who was a 15-car person, but is now a 32 or 33-car person. If you're not seeing exponential growth right now, you're missing out on one of the greatest waves our industry has ever experienced for income. You guys can all be having a much better month than what you're having now, even with the inventory shortage that you're having right now. So I'm going to give you a couple things to think about, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit what to expect with Selcology, and then we're going to kind of wrap up this meeting, okay? So when I talk about patterns, I'm talking about the patterns that happen throughout the entire experience with customers. And this is on both sides of the conversation. Patterns inside your own head, patterns inside their head. Selcology will help you understand both. So you can understand your own psychology. Why do you get frazzled so quickly? Why do you get so discouraged so quickly? Why do you sometimes take stuff so personally? Customer says they want to think about it, you get a chip on your shoulder. Customer says that, I got a dealer down the road offering me more, and you get upset. Like, why are you getting mad? Right? Some of you guys, you don't even understand your own emotional state. So Selchology will help you manage your own psychology and help you understand the customers. I was this is years ago, but I was talking to a team in Oklahoma, and they were a Kia store. And I started out by saying, guys, let's just talk about the most common challenges you guys run into, the most common things customers say to you, the stuff that bothers you when a customer says it. And let's for now just start at the beginning of the sale. In the very beginning of the sale, in the first 5 to 7 minutes, what are some of the most common things customers say that bother you? And I think you all probably can relate to this, but they said things like just looking, not buying today, first stop, just want your best price, you don't have what I want, or something like that, right? Does anybody in the room recognize any of those? Yeah. So I was at a Kia store. Then I went to an Aston Martin dealership. Okay. Now I'm at an Aston Martin dealership in Texas, John Eagle Aston Martin. And I said to the sales team, I said, now guys, I just want to hear from you. What are the most common challenges, things that you guys run into that you face all the time that bother you? And here I am at this Aston Martin dealership. I got my whiteboard, my marker, and the guy says, man, just, the customers are just looking, not buying today. you know, not buying today, just want your best price, you know, want to think about it. I'm like, well, wait a second. This is the exact same list I just got at the Kia store in Oklahoma. So I went from a Kia store and I heard just looking, not buying today, first stop, just want your best price. I go to the Aston Martin store and I hear just looking, not buying today, first stop, just want your best price. I'm like, pattern? Yeah. I hop on a plane. I fly to Volgograd, Russia. I'm in Volgograd, Russia at an Audi dealership in Russia. Okay. And I'm talking to a salesman. His name is Ivan. And Ivan says this, John, biggest problem we have here. Customer just looking, not buying today. Best price. John, how you deal? I'm like, you kidding me? This is nuts. I fly to New Zealand. I'm on the other side of the planet now. I'm upside down on the globe in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand, at a brand called SsangYong and LDV, brands I'd never even heard of until a couple months prior to that. I'm in New Zealand. I'm training a group of Kiwis, New Zealanders. And one of the guys raises his hand. He says, I got one for you, mate. You got a duck on the pond, yeah? I said, a duck on the, huh? A duck on the pond, yeah? I said, a what? A duck on the pond, yeah? Out on the yard. I said, man, I don't even speak your language. What are you talking about? The customer. I said, okay. He says, just looking, not buying today, just want your best price. Mate, how do you deal with them? And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is nuts. Like, it doesn't matter where I go in the world, customers say the same thing, whether it be Russia or Canada or New York or Texas or California or Florida. Doesn't matter where I go, customers are all the same. Now, they're all different, but they're all different in the same ways. What I want y'all to realize is this: if y'all master Selcology and you want to just relocate to Volgograd, Russia and sell Audis, you can now. If y'all master Selcology, you want to relocate to New Zealand and sell SsangYongs in Auckland, you can now, because customers are the same everywhere in the world. They're the same. So what I want you to do is, there's 4 major skill sets I want you to develop to master your career in the car business. Just 4 major skill sets, and the Selcology University will help you understand the psychology of these 4 skill sets. I talk about patterns. Behind me, you see it says Pinnacle Society. Can I just see a show of hands? Does anybody know the Pinnacle Society? Does anybody know about it? Show of hands. Gentleman in the front. Anybody else? Nobody else? Okay. Pinnacle Society is an organization of high-producing salespeople. These are some of the best salespeople in the world. Literally, the world record setter, Ali Reda, is a co-founder with me of the society. His personal best is 1,582 cars in a year. All right, somebody do the math on that real quick. 1,582 cars a year. Okay, somebody, if you want to do the math on that real quick, that's Ali Reda. He's the co-founder with me. Okay, he sold. Listen, guys, he sold 32 cars in a day twice. 32 car day twice. Okay, so this is the Pinnacle Society is the best of the best of the best of our industry. Our average membership, our membership average is right at 50 cars a month. Is the membership average. We have one guy, for example, he's got 583 cars out for the year already. Okay, 583 sold for the year already. We've got some guys that they've made 300 grand for the year already. Okay, so we're talking about the best of our industry. So I'm a co-founder of the Pinnacle Society. The reason I mention that is this: success leaves clues. What I have learned from hanging out with the best salespeople in the country, okay, the best across all brands, all right, is that they all have certain skill sets they've developed. There are 4 of them primarily. I'm going to give you the 4 right now, and these are the 4 I want you guys to focus on for the next year. First one is their sales skills. High producers focus on their sales skills. They learn how to move a customer from the greeting to the delivery with efficiency and effectiveness. Not just that they can close, but how fast they can close. Okay. Ali Reda's sales process is under 30 minutes a car deal. His entire sales process averages under 30 minutes a car deal. From the time he greets the customer to the time they leave with the car, 30 minutes, the whole deal. Okay. So when you're operating at that level, when you're selling his personal best is 209 cars in a month. Okay. When you're selling 209 cars in a month, you've got an efficient process. So the sales process, the sales skills is about moving a customer through the process more effectively. Psychology of sales is how do I find out what's really going on super fast? Some of you guys have greeted a customer and you're with them for 30 minutes and still have no clue what the heck this person's even doing. You don't even think they know what they're doing. And you've had customers like this. Well, Selchology of sales will help you understand your customers. It'll help you recognize the patterns of buyers. So you understand what their 8 influencers are, what the 6 core values are. You understand which principles to use quicker so that you can move a customer more consistently through the process more efficiently. So there's the psychology of sales. Then you have people skills. People skills is what allows you to adapt to the audience better so that you know who you're talking to, so that you know what to say to the right person the right way that makes them resonate with you. Because all of you all have experienced customers where you meet them and right away you're like, this is not going to go good. And you're like, you know what? My lunch is coming up. Where's the new guy? I got a TO for him. How many of you can relate to this? You've got a customer type. You all have a type that you don't even want to work with. And if you saw them pull up, you're like, I'm out. You don't even want to talk to certain customers, right? And that could be ethnic groups. Let's be honest, that could be cross-cultural ethnic groups. There's certain customer types that some people sell. John, I just can't sell Indians, man. I can't do it and make it easy. It takes like too long, and they're grinders, man. So there's certain customers that just stereotypically, because of background, ethnic groups like Asian, Middle Eastern, Indian customer types, that if you don't know how to sell them well, you can't. You got other customer types which are temperamental, like you got the driver person. Some of you are very relational in the way that you sell. You like to build relationships. And then you get in front of a customer who's a direct driver type, and you're wanting to talk about rapport building stuff. And you want to talk about like kids and puppies. And they're like, I hate kids and I eat puppies for breakfast. And you're like, I don't even know how to talk to this person, right? It's a T1000. It's like not even a human being. When you've met people and you don't connect and you don't know how to connect, it just makes it harder for you to close those people. So you need the people skills. Then you need the marketing skills. The marketing skills is the way you promote your business, the way you self-generate your sales. There are members in our Pinnacle Society that self-generate over 50 car deals a month, self-generated, 100% self-generated in many cases. One of our students, he moved across the country. He moved from Oklahoma to California. He left his place in Oklahoma, moved to California, started selling cars November of last year. By March of this year, he hit 100 cars. Listen to what I just said. He moved across the country, and then from November, where he started the month, to March, he hit 100 cars in March. 100. He's had over 100 car month now, 3 months since he's been there. He's sold over 100 cars. At that store, the next closest person is in the 30s. How does somebody do that? How do they move across the country and get plugged in and immediately start generating their own business? That's marketing. You got to have your marketing skill set down pat. And then you've got to have your life skills. Your life skills is your mental state. It's your goal setting, time management, organization, focus. It's how you manage yourself. Some of you are your own worst enemy. Some of you give yourselves more objections than any customer ever does. Some of you get inside your own head and slow and stop your own deals. Some of you are a mess. And I know that. And your managers know who you are too. We all know who you are probably. Right? But you need to figure out your own mindset. So there's 4 skill sets you need: the sales skills, the people skills, the marketing skills, and the life skills. And Selcology will help you with all of those. So what I'm here to do is just to let you guys know that it's no longer something you got to figure out on your own. There's a blueprint for you. There's a map for you. There's an actual pathway to getting to where you want to be. There's a science behind this thing, so you don't have to guess anymore. I'm going to leave you with a couple of best practices, and I'm going to wrap up the meeting. Okay. Here's a best practice I want you to consider. One of the best practices is this. Many of you, when you're going through training like certification training, your goal is to get through it as fast as possible to check the box that you're certified so that you can get your spiffs or so you can get the managers off your back. Now, I appreciate that and I understand that, and I'm not unaware of that, okay? However, some of you will make a mistake. I'm trying to warn you in advance. Some of you will make a mistake of treating this the same way. And what you'll do is you'll adopt an approach that says, I got to get through this. I got to check off enough of these boxes so I can get the managers off my back. If you do, which you can, you're grown-ups, do what you like, it's your life. But if you do, you will completely miss the point. You will completely miss the opportunity. You'll completely miss the value. The goal of Selcology is not to give you a task to have to do one more task. It's not to give you a test so that you can take one more test. It's not to give you something that you have to get through. It's designed to give you the patterns, principles, and the systematic way of understanding psychology so that you can be more consistent in your success. There's a reason why the co-founder of the Pinnacle Society, it's the reason why in my network, I have some of the best salespeople in the entire world in my network. It's because what I teach works. It just works if you work it and trust the system. I have many stories, many testimonials, many students who went from 0 database to 40 cars in a month in less than a year. Many, many, many. So because I know what works, I'm trying to show you guys the principles. And here's the great news. I don't need you to fundamentally change who you are. I'm not going to try to get you to repeat after me. It's not a bunch of word tracks. It's not a bunch of memorize my scripts. It's learn how to think and pay attention more. That's what it's about. So the mistake some of you will make is that you'll rush through the program. The other mistake some of you will make is you'll be not the hare, but you'll be the tortoise. You'll just go slowly through the program. You'll take one a month. I took my training this month. I did one. You'll miss the point. The goal is to create momentum in your learning process. The part of the value of learning is that you're teaching your mind to pay attention to things, and you're conditioning your brain to pay attention to things that are important. So why you should have consistency, why you should try to do 2 to 3 of these chapters in a week consistently, is because what you're doing is building momentum on the ideas, and you're conditioning your mind to pay attention to the patterns. And if you'll do this over a period of a couple of months, your brain will literally begin to learn these patterns and begin to identify them quicker for you so that you can actually use them. So that's the second mistake somebody in this room is likely to make, which is slow rolling the program. So if you're the tortoise and you slow roll it, you're going to miss the value. If you're the hare and you run past it, you're going to miss the value. So I want you to be, if I can convince you to, I want you to be methodical and consistent and intentional. Here's the next big takeaway I'm going to give you, best practice, okay? Whatever you learn, share with one person sometime that week. If you go through a module and you have an aha moment, or you have an oh yeah moment where you realize something, share it with just one person. Even if it's just one person in a casual conversation. Hey man, I was going through that Selcology stuff. I came across this video. I thought it was interesting because. Share the idea with just one person. Why is that important? Because if you commit to actually telling it to somebody else, you'll have to be more intentional about your thoughts, which means you'll have to be more intentional about what you're learning, because you're going to have to be more intentional about how you share it. So intentionality is going to be the secret to your success with this program. Be intentional. Now, obviously, for those of you who are advanced students, people who like to make a lot of money and want the shortcut to success, if you have a notepad and you take notes and you think about it and write it down, if you watch it more than once. So if you guys said, you know, John, I'm going to watch the same video 3 times in a week, I'd love to. You'd be better off doing that than watching 3 different ones in some cases. But be intentional. And the last thing I'm going to give you is an exercise that'll help you illustrate the value of exercise. Here we go. Everybody do this. We're going to wrap it up. Put your hands like this for me. Everybody do this for me. Put your hands like this. Come on. Play along. Play along. I can see you. All right. Do it like this now. All right, the lady in the back, I can see her, but I can't see your hands. Help me out. There you go. There you go. I see your hands now. Okay. All right, now do it like this. Now do it like this. We're almost there. Okay. Now, everybody try to do this. All right, now pause where you're at. Freeze. Freeze. Now, are you actually doing what I'm doing?
Yes. No.
Not all of you are. Okay, now we see. I see some of y'all moving your fingers. All right, no. Come on, what do you got? Everybody got it? No. Here we go. Not quite. Look at what I got. Over here, I got 1 thumb up, everybody. Over here, I just got 1 finger pointing. Nope. The gentleman in the second row behind the guy in the blue shirt. There you go. Now we got it. All right, we're good. Now we're good. Okay, watch this. All right, everybody, now follow along. Okay, and do this. All right, why y'all freaking out here? All right, now here we go. Listen, for the money, just do this. Come on now. All right, now pause for a second, and just process what just happened. Now, here's what I want you to learn. There's 3 levels of learning that I want to give you real quick. 3 levels of learning. The first level is intellectual. The intellectual level of learning is, do I understand what I'm being asked to do? Do I understand it? So when I said do this, right, I don't think anybody in the room did not intellectually understand what they were seeing. Like you all saw, I was pointing at a thumb, right? That's all I was doing, right? So intellectually, everybody was on the same page. We all grasped what this guy is doing is he's pointing at a finger. That's all he's doing. He's switching hands. That's intellectual learning. The next level of learning is emotional level. This is where I actually want to do it. So I can intellectually understand something, but not want to do it. Right? So I'm not going to learn it. I saw from your faces that you all were at level 2. You all wanted to do it. I could tell by your faces because your faces told me you were trying. You're like, y'all, some of y'all look like you're about to bust a vein. You look like you're constipated. You're all like, you were trying. I could tell you emotionally wanted to do it. So intellectually, y'all understood what I was doing. Emotionally, you all wanted to do it. What was the breakdown was what's called physiological learning. Physiological learning is where the learning is happening in your nervous system. Physiological learning is when it happens in your bones. We sometimes call it muscle memory. Okay, so watch what happens. Intellectually, I said do this, and y'all tried. And some of you were all doing this, some of you are doing this, some of you are doing this, some of you are doing this. Intellectually, you knew what I was asking you to do, but you couldn't get your brain to do it. And then you're like, oh, I got it. Okay, I'm good. And then I said, all right, now switch. And y'all went. What the heck is happening to my fingers? Y'all locked up. Why? Emotionally, you wanted it, but physiologically, you didn't have it in your nervous system yet. So here's the point. Many of you will walk away from a Selcology lesson and you will intellectually understand everything you just saw. Emotionally, you will agree with the lesson and go, that's a good idea. And you will walk away from the screen and not drill it into your bones. You won't practice it. You won't. You won't sit down and practice it. You won't. And that's why you won't be able to execute it well. And watch what happens emotionally. I'm trying to show you your own psychology. Some of you, because I could see you in the class, some of you, when you started to figure out that it was hard, you threw your hands down, you quit. Some of you, when I said do this like this, you went and you put your hands down. Why did you quit on the exercise? Here's why. Because you felt stupid. And no one wants to look or feel or sound stupid. No one does. We don't want it. Emotionally, it's hard to look, feel, or sound stupid. So when you started to do it and you realized you weren't getting it, you quit. And the reason why you quit is because your emotions told you, you look like an idiot. Stop it. And you went, this is dumb, I'm done. And you quit on yourselves. And what I'm trying to show you with this illustration is this is what limits most people's potential. Is they watch a module and they go, that makes sense. Intellectually, check. They watch the same, emotionally go, man, that's good, check. And then they walk away from it and they don't practice and they don't drill it into their bones, which means the first time they try to do it, it feels weird. It feels like I feel weird. And when I feel weird, I quit and I won't execute the technique. Even though I intellectually understood it and emotionally said it was a good idea, I won't be able to do it. So what I'm asking you all to do, and I know I won't get all of you, I've been doing this a long time, but the 3 of you that are listening, the 3 of you that care, the 3 of you that pay attention, the 3 of you that actually want to make a difference for your families, the 3 of you that care, I need you to practice and you role play and to get past the initial stages of stupidity. Get past feeling like a fool. Get past feeling uncomfortable. Get past the fact that it's hard. Get past that and become a master. And if you'll become a master, all the money, my friends, is at the level of mastery. That's where all the money hangs out, at the level of mastery. I appreciate you guys' time this morning. I hope this was helpful for you. I'm going to open it up. Chris, any questions from you or the team?
Hey, guys, hold on. Anybody got any questions, anything that they want to ask? How long did you practice that?
I'll tell you real quick backstory. So there's a TV show called Brain Games where I learned this from. I was watching a TV show and the guy was actually talking about neurology, and he was talking about how people learn things and how long it takes to learn a skill. And so they had this do this. This is the guy on the TV, right? I'm just watching a TV show and the guy says, you know, do this like this. And I'm like this. And he says, now look at your hand. Are you doing the same thing? I'm like, he's like, make sure. And I'm like, whoa, that was way harder than it was supposed to. I'm like freaking out. He's like, did you find that was hard? I'm like, that's really hard. And he says, we're about to go to commercial. Here's what I want you to do. During the commercial, I want you to put your thumb down, point, touch that finger, pull that finger back, put your thumb up, and then do that again. Thumb down, touch, pull it back, touch the thumb, thumb down, touch, pull it back, touch the thumb down, touch, and do that during the commercial break. The commercial break would be a few minutes. He said, do that 40 times in the next few minutes, and then we'll see you after the break. And for the next like all during the commercials, I'm sitting there going, like for 4 minutes, right? I'm doing that. And then the guy comes back on. He's like, are you ready? I'm like, I'm ready. Got this. All right. And I'm like, and I realized like, this is really cool stuff. And I thought, man, one day I'm going to be able to torture salespeople with this. I'll be able to torture an entire class with this. This is so awesome. So that's how long it took me. It took me about 4 minutes, 40 repetitions. So thank you.
What else you guys got? Well, I know
Hey, let me see your mug.
Pardon me?
They want
Let
to
me
see
see
your mug.
Hell yeah.
See that?
Welcome to the dark side.
Well, I can just say this, I'm excited to be on board with Selcology again. This is a great program. And one of Jonathan Dawson's sayings is he's trying to save the world one salesperson at a time. And he truly takes it to heart, and he cares about everybody in this room, I promise you. He makes it into this dealership, you guys will see it. The opportunity is there with Selcology. You're going to get tools that you've never had before. In my 28 years in the business, you know, this is stuff that I probably have always understood, but it's never been put together like Jonathan Dawson's put it together. So I don't know everything. Don't ever claim to know everything, but I promise you guys, everybody will learn from this.
I appreciate that, Chris. Go ahead, my friend. Yeah.
So I was with Connor for 2 years, and I was doing a good friend of yours, Fred Cornetti.
Yeah.
Doing this training, and the one thing he kept talking about is basically like shortening down your process, right? So like, you know, so a good thing when you have like, you know, you're doing your job, you got like 4 or 5 appointments ready to come in, and then you're shortening your process. How do you get down the process down to like, you know, he wanted you to took you 2 hours to get the customer to the door. Now he wants to shorten down to 45 minutes.
That's right.
How do you do on a Saturday, say you have 3 or 4 appointments and try to get down, you know, 4 people, 5 people out of the door in say 2 or 3 hours? How do you shorten the process without cutting corners?
Yeah, fair question. So if I heard it correctly, basically, how do you shorten the process without shortcutting the important parts? Now, that's a very, very thoughtful question, and it's a question that would take a little bit more time than I think I have allowed here to deep dive into. So let me ask you a follow-up question, and then maybe we can talk offline. And by the way, this is kind of a generic to anybody in the room. If you currently sell 25 cars a month, or you have a 6-figure income pace, that's the minimum requirements to join the Pinnacle Society. You have to either be a $100,000 income earner or a 25 car a month person. You have to have at least one of those two to be qualified to apply. Because you're all Selcology students as well, you know, you could basically be pre-approved to join. If any of you want to join the society, just reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you about that so you can learn specifically from these high producers. But my friend, your question, are you in management or are you in sales?
Sales.
You're in sales. Well, can I ask you, what is your current average per month on a regular basis?
I've been for like 2 weeks, but about 16. I was at Honda, was 18 to 22 cars.
So you're selling about 22 cars right now?
Not well. I just got here. I've been here like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
But have you been in the business for a while?
Yeah, 5.5 years.
Okay, so what's been a normal average for you, just on a monthly average in normal life?
So 18 to 22.
Okay, perfect. So probably the very first thing I would actually teach you to do is teach you how to manage your schedule throughout the month, because you have typically 22 scheduled work days in a calendar month anyway. You have 22 scheduled work days. So anybody whose average is right now in that 20-ish range, what I would actually teach you to do is how to get your customers to work within your schedule. Because if all you did was just sell a car a day for the 22 days that you're there, you'd be at 22. So you don't need to worry about how do I stack up 4 appointments in a day. You need to worry about how do I spread my appointments throughout my work schedule, and I'm just selling a car a day. So even if it took you, for example, if it took you 2 hours to sell a car and you're there for, let's say, 9 hours, then that means you mathematically potentially could sell 4 cars a day if they were staggered properly. If you had a 10 o'clock and a 2 o'clock and if you staggered them, you could sell 4 cars a day. If you're there 22 days, you could sell 88 cars. So really, what you've got to do, my friend, is you've got to first manage the way that you stack your customers throughout your work schedule. So one of the things I would first work on is that, because if you're selling 40 or 50 cars a day, then managing multiple people in a day becomes the task you need to focus on, because now you're already averaging over a car a day and over 2 cars a day. So now your workflow is a different thing to manage. So if I was your coach and we were sitting down one-on-one, I would actually not teach you how to manage 4 people in a day. I would teach you how to get those 4 people to be spread out over 4 days so that you had a better managed week and a better managed month. And let's get you to 22 consistently managing your flow. Then let's start stacking customers, because then you could have a 10 o'clock appointment and a 2 o'clock appointment, sell 2 cars a day for 22, and that's 44. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, and we can, like I said, we can talk offline. You guys also have access to the Selcology coaching group. The Selcology coaching group, which is a private coaching group for just my Selcology students. Y'all get access to some of my top students. Inside the coaching group, you'll learn from other top performers, people selling 50, 60, 70 cars a month that are inside the coaching group. People who sell a bunch of cars and work less hours than you. One of my students sold 32 cars last month. He only works 3 days a week. Works 3 days a week and sold 32 cars. So if you want better life balance, learn Selcology. If you want to make more money, learn Selcology. Like I said, I got students right now who've got 300 grand earned for the year. Not bad. You can't live on it, but it's a good start. All right. Y'all are awesome. Stay in touch. Find me online. Let's connect. Appreciate you guys. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Chris.